In this video, what we're going to cover is winning over the workforce. This right now is written in the book Tact Planning and Integrated Control, and it's on page number 258. This will be explained in detail in the future in the book Elevating Construction Senior Superintendent's book number 2, but it's a really key concept in the sense that we've learned that this is really step number 1 to get the project site to work in a common direction and see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. So one of the things it says in the book is every good system starts with building the team as soon as that team is together. And so you might not have the workers or the foreman or even some of the trades on early. Once you do have them, the key is to build that team. Workers have to feel and actually be respected on site. We have probably talked a little bit about respect, but I'll go ahead and discuss it a little bit as well here as an intro. There's a couple of things that we do when we think about this concept of respect for people. There's a couple of categories that come to my mind, at least, right? There's respect for people in general. There's respect for our customer or client. There's respect for our customers, and there's respect for ourselves. Now, let me get into a little bit of detail here so that doesn't seem abstract. I really like the definition one time that was given in an LCI presentation that said, respect the nature of people. So go where they are, respect how they communicate, how they act, how they like to learn, the nature of where they came from, their race, religion, ethnicity, culture, and I really like that definition. And so that can really apply to all of these other subcategories that I have as well. So if we respect people, one of the key things that we'll do is that we'll take really good care of them. Do workers and foremen feel like they're respected when they come on the project site? And I'll go ahead and reference back to some of the key techniques inside this concept of winning over the workforce. Let me go ahead and read the rest of what it says. Workers have to feel and actually be respected. They need remarkable bathrooms, a good lunchroom, horizontal communication systems, worker huddles, and a clean and safe environment. That, in addition to things like barbecues, positive recognition, good parking if possible, smoking areas, and other basic needs, will create a sense of reciprocity and allow an environment where everyone can buy in. The required steps are below. Build or provide custom bathrooms, provide a built-in lunchroom, begin morning worker huddles, host monthly barbecues, provide remarkable parking for the workers, smoking areas, and ensure the environment is always safe, clean, and organized. So those are the main topics that come to my mind. And if somebody said, hey, does the industry in general respect people? And I would say no, because we don't yet have good bathrooms. We don't yet have good lunchrooms. We don't yet have all of the key things that it would take for somebody to feel like we actually cared, right? Let's take this concept of respect for people just a little bit farther. Do we respect our customer? Do we see things like they see things? Are we the guardians of the vision? Do we help protect them from any liability or lawsuits or bad publicity? Do we know exactly what they need and what they want done on the project site? And do we care? Are we always like, the stinking customer, they always want so much, blah, 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 blah. Or are we like, no, I care what they want. It takes quite a bit to respect people, and it takes quite a bit to respect the customers that we work for and their vision and how they see things. See, with these groups, it doesn't matter what we think. If we think we respect people, it matters what they perceive. Can a worker or a foreman come on site and be like, wow, that was pretty cool parking. Oh, they carved out a nice spot for us for a little smoking area. Wow, they huddle with us every day. Oh my gosh, this place is like really clean. This is amazing. Whoa, those bathrooms are well kept. They must really care. And then finally it clicks and they're like, oh wow, there's something different here, right? With our customer, are they like, yeah, this is just the same old GC, same thing, different day? Or are they like, wow, that general contract, like they're getting back to us pretty quickly. They're telling us constantly what our decisions mean to the schedule. I asked for something the other day and they literally texted me back within 3 hours and told me it was done. Like, this contractor is different. They really respect us. It takes quite a bit, but it's really about perception. There's 2 other categories I want to talk about. Do we respect our customers? Not just our customer, but our customers. If I asked, who are the other customers on site? It would be the other trades. It would be the neighbor for your project site. It would be the motorists, the people that are driving next to your project site, the pedestrians. I could just keep going. It would be the end users. It would be the grandma living on the corner. It would be the vendors. I could just keep going on and on. This list is somewhat infinite or immeasurable, at least is what the word that I would say. And it's not just does our client that we're working for, our customer, feel like they're respected, but it's really, does everybody? Do trades feel like they're treated like a customer? Do the neighbors feel like we care and treat them like a customer? Are the motorists, do they feel like their traffic control and everything steering them and providing wayfinding signage is remarkable? Do the pedestrians feel like there's really good walkways around the site? And you could just keep going on and on. There's a difference there again by way of perspective perception. Hey, this is just another construction project. I better steer clear of this versus, oh, wow, this is a nice walkway. Oh, that's a neat little ramp there. Oh, this is nice and clean. Hey, that fence is pretty tidy. I don't see any graffiti anywhere. I don't hear workers cussing. This is pretty neat. There's something different about this builder. That's when things get remarkable. The last thing I want to say is that we can't be successful unless we respect ourselves. Here's what I mean by that. How many times in construction do we have people that will disrespect themselves and their team for the benefit of a customer or somebody else? That's not the way things work. We have to make sure that our teams are balanced, healthy, respected, that our people are not overworked, that they have what they need, that they're happy on our project teams, PM, superintendent, anyone else, in order for our team to be able to even deliver what the customer wants. So if we go sign up for a change order that's going to tank the team, or we sign up for a project schedule that's unrealistic, or we go attempt to absorb some big amount of variation, or I could just keep going on, and we disrespect ourselves, there's no way that we can even take care of these other things. We won't even have the capacity to take care of people, our customer, or let alone our extended customer network. So respect really is a big deal. Now, what happens when people feel listened to and respected? If you look at your brain, and I say this in boot camps, and I've already talked about this is my rudimentary image of what a brain would look like. If you look at it and you tell somebody what to do, their brain releases the stress hormone cortisol, and it doesn't release oxytocin. But when people feel listened to, respected, and like they're cared for, their brain also releases oxytocin, which creates human connection. And so then people, this P word over here, people will then come to the rescue and really help you with your goals. So in the book, the first one is to provide custom bathrooms. I'll give you a couple of examples. There's nothing better to create respect for somebody than to make sure that they can go number 1 and 2 in a respectful location. Sounds simple, but we don't take care of it well enough in our industry. So I remember a project one time where on level 1 and level 3, so there was a core bathroom, meaning the bathrooms were stacked, so all of the sanitary sewer, all of the water lines were stacked. You're familiar with that. We decided on levels 1 and 3 on a 5-story building that we would go ahead and use the water in the sanitary sewer and build out plywood stalls and signage and hand wash stations and stuff inside the building. And what we did was we routed the trades to finish levels 2 and 4 and 5 to do the finished bathrooms. Now, this is probably going to freak some people out, but what we did was once these bathrooms were finished 100% and operational, and there was a way to switch this to where the sanitary sewer didn't affect the other bathrooms and they were maintained operational, we could still do all of our testing. Once these were operational, what we did is we fitted those out, and we got permission from the owner, but to use these bathrooms, these finished bathrooms, for the workers on site. And then what we did is we decommissioned these and started to fit those out and build those before the end of the project. Now, not everybody's able to do that. We had these cleaned every day just like we normally would. The cost of porta potties basically covered the cost of cleaning this. We had replenishable stock inside the bathrooms. There was signage on how to replace toilet paper, how to replace the paper towels, the soap, everything. And there was a big sign that said, "You are the most important and valuable resource on this project site. These bathrooms are for you. Please take care of it." And in morning huddles, I was like, hey guys, like if you trash the bathrooms, you're not disrespecting the project site or the project superintendent. I was like, if you got beef with me, my truck's sitting right over there, go slash my tires. But don't disrespect the bathrooms because you're just disrespecting another worker. And then once everybody framed it like that, they were really well taken care of. Now that's like the high-end solution. The other minimum that I would say is if we have regular porta-johns, depending on the heat, there might be an opportunity to put a shade over the top of them, to have a hand wash station, trash can, so that somebody could literally use the restroom in not too hot of conditions, come over and wash their hand, and then come over here and throw away their garbage. Sounds pretty basic, but here's where we go wrong. We think from a budget standpoint, hey, let's clean these once or twice a week. 3 times is the minimum here. It's either 3 or 5. We don't skimp on the cleaning of the bathrooms, especially in cost plus environments. We want that restroom to be really inviting and remarkable, and we don't want people to come in here and go number 2 and then not be able to wash their hands and be able to throw away their stuff. Why is that important? It comes down to basic respect. The other thing is when workers come over here and workers and foremen come over and they say, wow, they've got bathrooms. Wow, these bathrooms are well taken care of. They've got a place for me to wash my hands. That gets them again working from that place where that creates human connection, where from a reciprocal standpoint, they want to go support the efforts of the project site and keep the project clean. So I always say how the bathrooms go, that's how your site's going to go. And Paul Akers, that's something you can learn in Paul Akers' 2-second lean as well. The second one, built-in lunchroom facility. What I did on one of my projects was we got an 8-wide trailer. This was back in the day when it was a little bit easier to get things. So maybe you can do it nowadays, maybe not. But this was an 8-wide trailer. We divisioned it off, and we actually built bathrooms in here. Another example of doing bathrooms the really nice way. The other thing we did is we had a lunchroom. So this was 3 of the trailers. This was 5. We put the general contractor and all the trade partners in here. The lunchroom was here. The bathrooms were here. And we would put the trades on a rotation. So when we were at like 380 workers, they wouldn't all fit. So it was like 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, right? We had everybody on a lunch rotation, which is quite common for big jobs. But it was quite remarkable in the sense that it built goodwill with the trade partners. We had a little foosball table, a couple of fridges. Anytime we had money left over from recycling, we'd go ahead and throw some sodas in there. Every now and then we would buy chips and salsa. We had microwaves on the table, a little spot over here for them to keep their lunchrooms. You can see this actually on a YouTube video of what we did. That's like the really, really nice version. At a minimum, in my opinion, we should at least outside somewhere have, even if there's small pop-ups or a large one, we should have lunch tents with tables and chairs. And I would very much recommend that we provide power to microwaves and a little spot for them to put their lunch boxes. So minimum, if you're a worker, think about what you want. I want a place to eat. I want benches. I want a place to heat up my food. And they probably have their own cooler for cooling, right? And I want a place to put my cooler. So these have all the basics. So whether you go all out or whether you go minimum, do people have a place to eat? And we've all probably been a worker or a foreman or somewhere in the craft where not only did we just go to the bathroom and we've had to go do our business, but now we have dirty hands, but now we have to rummage through all of our stuff, eat cold food on our butts in a hot spot, no shade, no place to wash our hands, just really dirty, gross, disgusting environment. And when people get used to living like that, then that translates to everything else. So if this was good enough for my lunch, this is good enough for the project site. If this sort of cleanliness is good enough for the bathroom and my lunch, this is the sort of cleanliness that's good for the project site. And the bottom line is it just isn't. The second really cool way to win over the workforce is to provide those lunch areas. So number 3, morning worker huddles. I'll just draw one of the job sites that I had. Here was our trailer. The job was over here. There was a roadway between the two. People would come in and be bussed into a spot here. They would come over here and get their water, get their ice, come across, and then we had a loading dock for the hoist right over here, and they would enter the gate and the workers would huddle around the hoist dock over there. And we would stand up there, not from a hey, I'm better than you standpoint, but from a, hey, I want to be able to see and talk to everybody standpoint. Every morning, start of work, they would get their stuff queue in here. We would be able to connect with them. So we'd be like, okay, what feedback do you have? Here's some positive shout outs for you. Here are the main safety topics for today. We would do a little 1 or 2 minute training. We would connect with them. Now, somebody would say, wow, that's really helpful to align people on safety, get them together, check them in, make sure nobody's on site before the start time. Yes, 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 and yes. But the biggest thing here is that we were able to connect with them. If we don't connect with the workers, here's one crew, they're a social group. Here's another crew, they're a social group. Here's another crew, there's a social group. What happens when you have separate social groups? Well, you see it in the news. What if this was China, and this is Russia, and this is the USA, and this is Mexico? Everybody has their own cultures, their own presidents, kings or queens, their own infighting and negotiations between. That doesn't make for a cohesive job site. What we want to do is be one social group, one country, one culture, one direction, one vision. And so the biggest thing about the worker huddle, it's not just for safety and communicating the information, which is important, and it is a byproduct of what we're doing. But the main thing here is that we want to create a social group, and it works really, really well. And if you have an a-hole superintendent, don't do these. But if you have a superintendent and assistant supers that really care about people, do this. They'll see that you care, they'll connect with your vision, and they'll support the project site. And that is one of the other really key methods for winning over the workforce. The other things are pretty self-explanatory. So monthly barbecues, I don't have to tell anybody why those are important. Creating parking for the workers. Even if you do the bathrooms, the lunchroom, and the worker huddles, if you have bad parking, you don't have a smoking area, that could really piss some people off, right? Even if it's not important to you, it's important to them. Like, how do they get to work? They come to the project or they wake up, they get their lunch ready, they say goodbye to their family, they drive to work. Normal. If they come and the first thing they see is like, I don't have a parking spot today. I don't know where to go smoke. And then they're like frazzled, and they're frazzled like they will approach the project site like that. So what we're doing is we're framing the right mindset for people to come do their best work. Great parking, great smoking area. Go get ice, go get water if you have it. They drop their stuff off at the lunchroom. They got killer bathrooms. We come visit with them. And they're like, wow, this job means something. This superintendent cares. Worker huddle. And then they go through, do their job, and we've framed the set point at which where they can really go do some really killer work. So don't ruin your progress with all of these things by having bad parking or not having a smoking area. But one of my favorite logistical sayings is, if you don't have parking, they'll park anywhere. If you don't have a smoking area, they'll smoke you. If you don't have good bathrooms, they'll crap on you. You know what I mean? If they don't have a lunchroom, they'll eat you. Like, you have to treat them the way you want to be treated. The last thing that I want to say is, when we go, they arrive, parking, smoking area, water, ice, bathrooms, drop off their lunchbox, they come over here, worker huddle. The next thing that's really, really important that I'll use to close this out with is, once they come into the entry, let's say that this was the entryway. This is the most crucial, in addition to your bathroom. So I'm using my previous job as an example, bathrooms, lunchroom. Your entryway is one of the most important parts of your project, because it's mental trigger, mental trigger, mental trigger, mental trigger, mental trigger, mental trigger. And then this is the final, like, call BS moment. If the entryway looks like crap, there's banana peels, there's trash, there's garbage everywhere, then they're like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. We're not going to treat this site right. But if you've got a nicely stabilized, beautiful entryway, clean, safe, organized, and they start to walk through the building, then their mind's attuned to that. It's almost like if I'm talking to somebody from Mexico and their native language is Spanish and not English, but they're speaking it and they have an accent, I'll find myself after 30 minutes or so mimicking their accent. People start to mimic what they see. Workers and foremen will mimic what the entryway looks like once they come onto the project site. So each of these are opportunities to orient and inform and really win over the project site and the conditions. So those are the basics on how to win over the workforce, and it's all based on a system of respect. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.